So I am Reverend Tracy Earlywine, and I'm just so happy to be here in a spiritual community where we come together to remember the greater truth of who we are, so that not only do we live our best human experience, we also learn and grow in our spiritual awareness, which brings a light into the world which the world so sorely needs. Not just for us, but for everyone. So thank you all for coming. I want to remind you that even during these times, our practitioners are available to you for prayer support. We specialize in knowing the truth for each other, and your practitioners are happy to be of service. Diane will be our practitioner tonight. She's going to do our opening prayer and reading for us. And she's available if you want to make an appointment to have a conversation, to have a little prayer work done. You can always call. Their phone numbers are on the website. I would say it's in the program, but you don't have programs right now. That's okay. It's in the e-blast, so there's always a way to get in touch with us to get your support, and we really want you to do that if we can be of service. Okay, so I'm going to invite Diane to come up. And we are going to start off with a quiet moment, as we usually do. So I'm going to invite you to get settled and comfortable. And I'm going to have you just let the sound of the bowl take you into that heart space. Allowing yourself to go into a deep and quiet love. A place of joy, a place of light deep within you. A place where you remember the oneness of all things.
We come together tonight in this beautiful meditation garden, this beautiful serenity. And as we breathe in, let's just breathe in all the positive energies that have been created in this beautiful meditation garden for years and years and years. Positive prayer has been set out here, contemplation and love. Feel that positive energy all around you. And tonight we give special thanks for our very first church family gathering since the stay-at-home order. We're so grateful, we're so excited. We rejoice in the celebration and the most welcome, most needed companionship. And we bless all of our church family who couldn't be with us tonight, but knowing soon we will all be back together in our beautiful sanctuary, sitting close together and singing and laughing and enjoying food after the service. And as we gather here tonight, know that we are one mind. Let us all know now together in this one mind that our world is now healed. Let us know that our schools and our businesses are open and operating safely and normally, and that our lives go back to normal. They go back to better than normal. Everyone is healed and healthy and whole and prosperous. We give thanks that this perfection of God is in us, as us, and through us, and it is in and as and through the world as well. And we give thanks for this, and let us say together, and so it is. Our reading tonight is taken from Ernest Holmes. It says, "Today, the eternal now, we perfect our good. Today, we say to ourselves, our experience is enriched by perfect faith. Our affairs are in the keeping of eternal mind. We live in the divine presence. We are guided by infinite wisdom and sustained by limitless love. Today, we say to ourselves, we are part of eternal wholeness. We live and move and have our being in the Spirit of God. We are consciously drawing upon this Spirit for inspiration. We are continuously receiving guidance from on high. Today we remember that the Spirit is not far off, but ever at hand, diffused through us. Today we remember that love is the great lodestone of life, that joy belongs to the Spirit, and that life is more abundant, and it is at hand. Today we carefully watch all our thinking, being certain that it sees in everyone it meets a reflection of divine image, a copy of the divine pattern, a manifestation of the life of spirit. Whosoever says that things are good, lovely, and true, those things I think upon, these are the thoughts I entertain in my mind. Deep within me there is a feeling, nature, that reaches up and out, and it grasps the full significance of the consciousness of good for myself and others. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. That was wonderful. Today, I'm answering a question that I received. I had asked some of you if you had Science of Mind questions, and I got some responses, and I received a couple that I wanted to actually do the full talk on, and tonight is one of those nights. I'm going to start with a quote and then tell you what the title is. And this is from a book called 365 Tao, which is about Buddhism. And you probably know that Tao means the way, or in this case, the life energy. The Tao is here. It is we who are not always in harmony with it. Tao proceeds on its own way, and it is we who are not always ready to follow. Tao is absolutely sure in its movement. It is we who involve ourselves in amusements. Therefore, turning ourselves to the Tao is the basic task. We must make ourselves the perfect instrument, much in the way a beautiful harp has all of its strings adjusted. How else will we harmonize with the universal music? Once we are attuned, we can become open to Tao. Where it leads, we follow without hesitation. Just as a musician expresses individual talent and understanding, and yet blends with the swelling magnificence of the orchestra, so too does the follower of Tao remain human and yet in harmony with the universal. And this is the dance that we do, this constant, continuous movement between our human awareness and our greater spiritual truths. We find ourselves in a time that seems very chaotic, very difficult. There's polarization, there's COVID fatigue. Anybody else? COVID protocol fatigue, yes. There are calls to heal injustice in our society. There's loss and grief and fear generated by the fires that are going on all around us. And it can seem like the whole world is on fire. And so how then do we manage our place in the world and in the spiritual system we call life without succumbing to those things which seem to simply drain our energy? And so the title of tonight's talk is based on a chapter in the book of Deepak Chopra's 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And it is the law of least effort. And I look around the world and I think, how am I going to do anything with least effort? Everything feels like huge effort. Either that or I'm just really tired. I don't know. You decide. At first glance, the law of least effort sounds like it might be at odds with Science of Mind. You know, we teach treat and move your feet. You do your prayer work, but then you take action, right? And this law of least effort sounds like, well, you don't have to try very hard, right? Or it's only consciousness. You don't have to actually do anything, and the bonbons will just fall into your lap from the sky. But when you look at it more closely, what Deepak Chopra is talking about is when we are truly in tune with the universal, when we are in alignment with spiritual truth, when we've tapped into the power that is within our own hearts, then things flow easily. opportunities pop up. The next step becomes clear, and the resources to accomplish that project or make that event happen seem to just fall from the sky like bonbons. So what he's really talking about is when we are in the flow of life, life then moves with ease. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes also talks about this. The normal functions of life are harmonious, but we interfere with these in our ignorance and thus bring discord into temporary being. We have, by the necessity of our nature, the power of using the law as though it existed solely for us. It goes in the direction in our mental affairs that we give it. Knowledge alone is what frees us from an ignorant and self-imposed bondage. So this being in the world and having it be difficult comes out of our own ignorance of how life works, what love is, how we are meant to express joy, how the beauty that is life is us. We lose sight of that. We get caught up in our amusements. We forget who we are because what's right in front of us demands our attention, takes our energy. Sometimes it wads us up and throws us away. And so our spiritual work is to turn and return to the Tao, turn and return to the energy of life, to the flow that comes from within. Because it's always there, we need to realign ourselves. And that's really what we're talking about today. The metaphor that came to mind thinking about this, using the law and having a life of greater ease and least effort was sailing. So most of you at some point have been on a sailboat or you've watched, Hawaii Five-0, you've seen sailboats. And what you know is that if you're in the boat on the water, most of the time there's wind, right? Now a sailboat uses the wind to move, but if you never raise the sails, you're simply going to be tossed about and spun about by the water or the waves. If you raise the sails, but don't hang on, don't anchor them in a position, that boom will move back and forth. You'll probably end up overboard and you still will be spinning around in circles. I have boom days. I'm overboard. I have wind. What wind? I'm drowning. Apparently I'm the only one, right? Okay, just checking. But if you raise the sails and position them just right, and put your hand on the tiller, you will fly across the water in the direction that you want to go. And that is the nature of least effort. Yes, you had to put out the effort to learn the dynamics of sailing. Yes, you have to use the physical strength to raise the sails, to put them where they're supposed to go, to move them when you need to. But that's not energy draining. That is how we move in a direction at a greater speed than we could possibly swim or row with our hands or even an oar. The law of least effort is about us using spiritual law and physical law in the most efficient and effective way possible. And that's how we want to live. Because when we are moving efficiently, we can put our attention on other things. I know one of the hardest things about the pandemic parameters that we have to take care of is that none of the usual rules apply. So every single thing is a new decision, right? It's not like you just, you get up and you go to the restaurant for breakfast and then you put gas in the car and then we have to do all that stuff differently, and it takes more energy. When we are operating efficiently, we can use the energy for the things that we love, the things that we want, the places we want to go. And that's what we're all about. That's what our spiritual knowledge will bring us, is a way to navigate this very chaotic world more easily. happily, tapping into the joy. So nature has its own intelligence, right? The birds fly. Birds fly. It's what they do. Well, except for the emu, but we're not talking about the emu. Every other bird flies, except for the penguins, but we're not talking about them either. Go with me here. Birds fly. Now, they have to learn to fly, but there's not a big old struggle. It's not like a hardship. It's just part of what they do, and they grow into their best selves, and then they fly and entertain us from the air. Plants grow, right? There's a seed, a little sprout comes out of the seed in the soil, and then it fights its way to the surface, out into the light. That plant, can you imagine if what went on in the plant was the same thing that what went on in us when we are reaching for the light? Can you just hear it now? Oh my God, who put that rock in my way? Hey, somebody's got to take care of this. Who's going to move? What am I going to do now? Oh my God, I'm stuck. I'm going to die here. That would be the inside of a plant if it sounded like the inside of our brain. Because don't we do that? Oh my gosh, why do I have to handle this? What happened over here? Who's going to take care of this? Why isn't somebody? Hey, this is your problem, man. You got to fix this. We have this chatter that goes on in our life all the time. So the physical plant is the conduit for the energy of life, right? It takes its nutrients from the soil and the water, and it grows into something green and beautiful and lovely. It's using the energy of life to become its best self. Our body, mind is the same kind of conduit. We are energy conduits. And the only time our energy fails us is when we block it. And we block it with our stories that we tell ourselves, with our anger, with our fear, with our doubt, with our sense that things are overwhelming, or we can't, or I'm too old, or it's too hard. We're cutting off the energy, and the only reason it's happening is because of what we're thinking, or how we're choosing to move, or how we're nourishing our bodies. So, in order to tap into this law of least effort, there's 3 elements that Chopra talks about. He talks about acceptance, he talks about responsibility, and he talks about defenselessness. And all 3 of these ideas are part of the science of mind teaching as well. So acceptance is talking about what is. Okay, for the plant, the rock is there, right? But it doesn't stop. It continues to grow because that's its nature, and that intelligence is working. It simply makes a turn, gets to the end of the rock, and then proceeds to move upward again towards the light. And if it runs into something else, it turns again, and then it breaks through the soil, and then it finds the light. Easy peasy, right? In Science of Mind, we say that we accept what is. We don't deny that there's trauma or pain or loss or difficulty. We understand that the human experience is our experience. It's just that we also know that the energy of life continues, that the power that God is our power, that we are what is happening to us, and so much more than that. When we find ourselves in a place of trauma or anger or injustice or fear, what we're called to do, what Science of Mind teaches, is that we are to acknowledge the moment where we are, and also acknowledge that we begin from here to move forward. Because what we know is life is infinite possibility. And we start from where we are. It doesn't help us to speculate about all the awful things that could or might or should happen in the future. It doesn't help us to remember all the awful things that happened to us on our way to get here. The only thing that moves us forward, that gives us energy, that nourishes our life flow, is the remembering that from right where we are, we have a new beginning. And in that new beginning are infinite ways to move forward. And of those infinite ways, more of them are positive than negative. And if in your own mind they're negative, then it's in the thinking. It's in the learning to tap back into that place of the heart that's untouched by the world. So that acceptance in Science of Mind is an acceptance of what is and an acceptance of the greater energies of life that are ours. The second aspect is responsibility. Now, we talk about responsibility all the time in Science of Mind, right? It's about co-creating our lives. When things are not going well, we can change something in us that will then change our experience out in the world. We cannot control other people. Have you noticed that? We can't really make them do what they should do, or think the way we want them to think, or vote the way we want them to vote. We don't have to. But we do need to tap into our authentic self, our understanding of life. And when we do that, when we act from what is within us, with our true self, then the universe says yes and brings it to us. Right? You've all had that happen, right? The responsibility says, I'm not going to resist you or your opinion or the culture or the political party or whether or not the health department says I should do this or that. That's not my job to resist and resent. What is my job is to choose from a place of life and love to do the most loving thing I can, so that I can choose my response instead of just reacting to whatever the current day's explosion is. And when I do that, I have the energy of life with the least amount of effort. Because to rail against anything is to waste energy. It changes nothing. It stirs us up. And it does not bring us to a place of peace and healing. And what we all really want is healing. A sense of wholeness, a sense of being home, a sense of belonging, a sense of being centered in the best that life has to offer. So we choose to see opportunity when unexpected changes happen. We choose to know that when there is an obstacle all of a sudden in front of us, or something that we don't think we picked that is affecting our daily lives, we can choose to see that as simply a change of direction that is calling forth something wonderful for us, from us. That evolution comes when we ask ourselves, how does this situation serve me? How does it serve the world? What is being called forth in all this mess? What is being born? Right? Birth is messy. Months of dealing with physical symptoms and all kinds of changes, and you got to get stuff ready, and then all of a sudden there's the actual day that the baby's going to be born, and there's chaos and there's noise and there's pain and there's trauma, and maybe it's a beautiful ethereal thing. I know in the 70s we were all about, in the bath and with the candles and all, but my friends, that's not how they talk about it. It's a little noisier, messier than that. And then you have a baby. And the baby is beautiful. And the baby is all the love you could ever imagine. And that's what we're doing here. That's what this is. That's what all this noise is in the world. It's something being born. Let's make sure we are part of the loving experience and not adding to the noise. All right, the third element is defenselessness. In other words, stop being so defensive. Quit justifying everything you think and do. Right? You know you do. You try to convince your kids that it's okay for you to go to the grocery store by yourself. You'll wear your mask. You won't touch anybody. Right? You try to convince your brother that his political views are really off the reservation. I don't know if you've noticed, but that doesn't work either. Right? We need to stop defending, justifying, trying to convince, trying to bring people over to our side. It's a waste of energy. It's a lot of effort with little to no reward. Instead, we shift from the ego mentality to the spiritual mentality. which says even in a discordant situation, I can bring the love. I can bring a peaceful statement. I can offer an accepting atmosphere. I can choose to walk away. We have choices. So being open like that gives us a way to grow and become more of what we want rather than what we don't want, right? Jeff Kober, who's a Buddhist writer, says that the truth of the universe is its oneness. The truth of me is my oneness with that. And as this oneness, there's nothing I can lose. Now, I can identify with this one thing, this oneness, or I can identify as my own ego, my human nature, which wants and needs and is afraid to share, because if you have something that I don't, I'm going to be without. And if I have something, I'm not sharing it with you because then I won't have enough. Or you can identify with the oneness, this one thing where love is free and present and effortless. It's my nature to be loving. I'm identified with this one thing, this power of life. I am an outflowing of love. If that's all that I am, then of course that's what I exude. There's nothing I need outside of myself, for truly there's nothing outside of myself in the oneness of spiritual truth. Everything is mine to give, love is mine to give, and because I am full, giving is all that I do. I must pour myself into the space around me. I want to be part of the love that heals. I want to share with others the light that I find when I know my spiritual nature, my spiritual truth. I want to be as love in the world. You know, the path to peace amid the chaos and the choices that we make in the face of injustice and the balance that we seek in the midst of conflict. The path to all of those things is love. And so I want to invite all of you in your spiritual practices in this upcoming week to really focus on bringing love in and through and to everything in your prayer, in your treatment, in your meditation, in your visualization, even in your to-do list. Let yourself know the flow of love as life and watch things change. Feel yourself deepen your spiritual roots so that you might move more easily in the world. So that what you do is with the law, not against it. So that all that you seek comes to you easily because you are open to receive. All of us do better, live better, grow more when we are supported in love. Do it for yourself, do it for your friends, do it for your community, do it for the world. This is the truth of who we are. And I simply say, I love you. Namaste. So let's take a moment and go into prayer. So right here, right now, in this garden with the breeze blowing, in this place of community where we have come together to know a greater truth, I bring my attention to the love that is the very spirit within me. I feel my breath move in and out of my body. And in my quietest moments, I can feel my blood coursing through my veins. This is the very energy of life that I am. And as I know this to be true for my life, I know that everyone here, that everyone watching, that all members of our community, all people also are this energy of life in form. And this energy is inexhaustible. This life that we live is one of beauty and joy and wholeness, that there is a peace and a wisdom that is ours that we can reach out to, that there is a healing that happens, a wholeness that is revealed as we turn again and again and again to that place of love within the heart. And so I claim and know for each of us this love that grows and that grows us. This flow of life which carries us in the direction that we set. I speak a word of strength and power that our choices reflect our highest values and our deepest love. And what I know too, what I claim for myself and for everyone, is that each of us brings that love, that light, that essence of sanctuary with us wherever we go, into every conversation, every relationship, every transaction. We are the love and light that life is, and all are blessed by it. I speak a word of healing and wholeness for our friends and family members and acquaintances who have suffered from the fires, who are experiencing loss or trauma. For those of us who mourn the loss of loved ones to the pandemic, and to those of us who have recovered and are healing from illness. I speak a word of wholeness and healing for any heart that aches, trusting that the love that life is surfaces once again into awareness, bringing us once again to a place of peace. I am so grateful to be alive, so grateful to share this life with everyone here. So grateful for the blessings that sometimes appear in disguise. For I know that life is for me, that God is all good, and God is all there is, and so it is. All right, so we're going to wrap this up pretty quickly here. I do want to thank you all again for continuing to support this community, for allowing us to keep everything ready for our grand return. We'll start outside and eventually we'll move inside. In the meantime, everything's still paid for and running, and that's all really good. So thank you all for your continued support. I will tell you that we have offering baskets on your way out. If you write a check, you can just drop it in. If you need an envelope, they're spread out so that you don't have to handle them all, right? We're trying to keep everybody germ-free. You can take one, and you can take a pencil and fill that out and drop it in the basket, and then just put the pencil on the table. We'll use it. We'll clean it before we use it again. So we do have that available. In order to do that in the most loving, conscious, abundant way possible, will you join me in saying our prosperity affirmation? Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am prosperous now. May that be the truth for all of us. All right, we have a couple more Friday mornings of donuts and coffee. You can bring your chair, wear your mask, bring your coffee. I have the donuts. It's a nice way to kind of just hang out with people for an hour on Friday mornings at 9 o'clock. So do join us if you're available. It's a great way to chat with people safely. And I moved the start dates of the book study for In the Flow of Life. If you are interested in Eric Butterworth's book, In the Flow of Life, we are going to do a 6-week discussion, read a couple chapters, answer a couple questions, and then get together on Zoom and talk about it. If you are interested, you need to sign up with the office. You can email or call the office, and Andy will get the information to you, and we've moved it out a couple of weeks. If we do not have enough signups, then we'll just let it go for now and start another class at a later date. But I do encourage you. It's a great book. It's a way to expand your idea of prosperity in your own life and also for the center. So think about that. Details are in the e-blast and on the website. And I think That's all I have. Wednesday nights, don't forget to tune in. We've had a lot of fun on Wednesdays. It's a great opportunity again to see people. That one's via Zoom, so it's on the screen, but come on, people, you can do it. And if you need some help on the computer, please just let us know. We'll have somebody walk you through it. We'd love to see your smiling face in that little box on the screen, okay? All right. I think that's it, unless somebody else has anything else. We have a couple people that did bring decorative masks or wearing. Now, some of you, like me, you know, we have the plain ones. But do we not have a couple fashion plates out there? Mickey, you should come up front here and be in the light for a moment so we can see your beautiful mask. You know, you go to all that effort, the least we could do is reward the girl.
You want a drink?
Oh, I see. This is a
martini drinking glass.
I see. So we have the glass, and then we have the garnish, and we have the straw, and we are like, you know, I think that's worth a prize, don't you? Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. See Shelley afterwards. Okay. She's got the magic envelopes. Anybody else have a decorative mask, something that they, you know, wore on purpose? Dressing up? All right. Well, Shelley has a good one, but she told me I wasn't allowed to call her out. Shelley, you probably should come up and just show them your mask, though. Just come over here in the light. Who can see in the dark? Here she comes. It's a good one.
It is. Very good.
It's a good one. So you have to stand kind of like right here in the light. Come a little bit this way here. Last thing you want is your facial features to be off center. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's much better. Okay, now you may show them. All right. Thank you all so much. All right, my friends, we're going to call it for the night. I want you to be really careful on your way out. We have lights, but it's not bright by any means. If you need any assistance, we'll be happy to get you out there to the parking lot safely, okay? Thank you all for coming. I love all of you, and I'm so happy to see you.